So back in January, one of my foster kids, who's 18 years old, I let him use my Mustang to go to work one day because he was going to have the boys at the shop do a wheel alignment on it. And it was about 6 o'clock at night, it was dark. He was coming from their mechanic shop on one road to the dealership down the road about a mile. And I'm at St. Clair Square getting some new eyeglasses. And my phone rings. I hadn't even gotten to the Lens Crafter store yet. And it's Emmanuel, and he's in tears. He says, I had an accident. And my first question after I said, are you okay, was, what were you driving? And he said, the Mustang. Oh, Jesus. I said, I'll be right there. So I got in the car, went down there and saw where it happened, and it was explainable. I didn't give him too much static about it because I could see how it happened. But I was still pretty upset that the Mustang was totaled out. I mean, the whole front end was crumpled up. So I immediately got on Auto Trader, searching for another laser red Mustang GT 5-speed with a white top and a white leather interior. And I didn't care if it was from California to New York, and there was none, not one, available for sale. But in that search, I came across this Camaro here. And I thought, well, I always loved this design ever since it came out in 2010. And 2011, which this one is, was the first year for the convertible with this new style. And when I saw the red stripes on it, I thought, this is really sharp. And then when I saw the pictures with the red and black interior, I've always been a sucker for two-tone leather interiors. I don't care if it's tan and black or beige and gray or whatever. I love two-tone leather interiors. I think it dates back to the 55 Thunderbirds. They had those kind of seats in them. And so I saw this and I thought, that's the one. And it was in my price range. It was down in Farmington, Missouri. So I went down one night and got the paperwork all done and brought it back to St. Louis. And Emmanuel had the nerve a couple days later to say to me, I guess you know I'm the reason you got that Camaro. I'm thinking, man, it's a great car, and I'm looking up the test reports in the magazine and this and that, and the specs on it. And I knew Jeff had this Infiniti, and they don't even know how to spell the word right. They put an I on the end instead of a Y, And it's supposedly a pretty hot little coupe, this G37X thing. And so I asked Jeff, I said, so how do you think this Camaro would stack up against your Infiniti if we were to drag race? And he looked over the specs on both cars, and I thought he was going to say, oh man, no chance he'd do it. But he said, I think it'd be a pretty close race. And I said, well, that's kind of cool. I said, why don't we take it over to Gateway Motorsports Park some night and run them and see what they'll do? And he kind of agreed to that, and so the whole thing just kind of started growing legs after that, He works at AAA. He has a friend that works there with him who knows a man who owns a BMW dealership. And he's got this guy interested in it, and he also knows a lot of people in the car hobby, as well as I do. And I write the column for the Post every week, so I have a lot of followers that read the column. So I put a flyer together, put it up on Facebook, and it's just kind of gotten to be a big deal.
Well, I got to admit, it's a nice car, I've considered those in the past, but I test drove the Infiniti and kind of fell in love with it and haven't looked back. I've had this car about 5 years now, and it's the first car that I really haven't found another car that I like more. So no immediate plans to get a different one.
Well, I'm not worried about the technology of the Japanese cars versus the American cars, because I, for one, think that the American cars nowadays are just exceptionally fine workmanship. Their mechanics, their engines, everything, they'll stand up to just about anybody, Now, back in the day when I was younger, his age or younger, I think the Japanese did a great job with these little transistor radios that had 6 transistors in them, you know, and would get AM, and I applaud them for that. You know, that was quite an accomplishment. But as far as the cars go, I'll take a Chevy anytime, or a Ford or a Dodge. I'm not partial to them.
Well, my dad seems to have this big thing about buy American, and I'm not against American cars nearly as much as he's against imported cars, specifically Japanese for some reason. I don't know why, but maybe because you know, he realizes that they're a challenge to the performance of the American cars. But I just like you know, a car that fits my personality and is fast as hell.
Well, it is a beast. It has 400 horsepower. That's more horsepower than any car I've ever owned in my time. And I've had a few muscle cars through the years. And so it's incredibly fast, I think. Probably faster than that Infiniti I'm going to be racing here, but we'll see, I guess. And I like the way it handles. It's nice and solid, and I love the looks of it. And I get a lot of compliments on it. I've had a few cars through the years, you know, where people will say, oh, that's a beautiful car. You know, this is one of them. I've only had it a few months, but I've had a lot of compliments on it. And again, it's one of those perfect cars for me. I think, you know, I kind of miss the 5-speed manual transmission, but this has the paddle shift or the tap shift, whatever you want to call it. And as I always tell people, it's much easier to drive down the road with a cheeseburger and a malt in your hand if you have an automatic, you know, than you're trying to shift with a 5-speed. So I'm happy all around with it.
So this is my baby right here, 2009 Infiniti G37X Coup. The X is for all-wheel drive because it needs it to get that much horsepower to the ground. It actually adds 200 pounds to the weight of the car, but this car is faster 0 to 60 than the rear-wheel drive version because the rear-wheel drive can't get the power to the ground off the line. The quarter-mile times are about the same as the rear-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive, so it doesn't really give up the advantage it makes up off the line. You know, it holds that to the end of the track. So, don't really have anything special. Tinted windows, which were actually on there when I bought the car. The car came from Kentucky originally. These dark tinted windows are actually legal there. And also no front license plate. They don't have a front license plate in Kentucky. And I've had the car 5 years, got pulled over once for it, just got a warning. Decided I really don't want to mess up the good looks of the front end by putting a plate on there, so I'm just going to roll it as is until I actually get a fine or something for it.
So a couple things I want to point out to you about the Camaro. First of all, you'll notice this American flag. This is not just an ordinary sticker you buy from AutoZone or a place like that. I had to search high and low for these because I wanted, I'll call it an italic flag, if you will, like italic type, or a slanted flag. And you won't find these just anywhere. I had to go to an aircraft decal supplier to get these, and they come in 3 sizes. This was a middle size. And I just like the way it looks because it gives a feeling of motion, and there's a right and a left, and it kind of goes along with the body lines on the car, and it's fairly dominant because it's that big. So that says a lot about, you know, this. There's no doubt this is an American car. You wouldn't find a decal like this on an Infiniti. Okay. And another thing that I'm going to do, this is more, you know, for the performance thing. That I have a special low restriction exhaust system on this car. And you notice these tips here. Now, right now, they're not real clean. They've got some soot in there from the exhaust and so forth. But on a race day, these are going to be polished up like a new nickel. That was a saying my dad always used years ago. I'm going to polish all that out because, you know why? Because when this is running and the exhaust is flowing through there, that needs to be as smooth as possible, smooth as glass. Because if there's anything like this on there, that's going to cause resistance and disrupt that exhaust flow. And that's going to slow me down. So they'll be clean and that'll just flow out of there real fast. And that'll probably help speed up a little bit, give me a few extra horsepower. Now I want to show you something else. I'm going to take you under the hood. And unfortunately I didn't clean my engine compartment for this today, but so excuse the dirt on here. You'll notice this engine cover. This cover, the color of this is called Inferno Orange. Now just the word Inferno says a lot about this. This thing's gonna shoot flames out the back probably, and it might burn the paint off of Jeff's car, which is behind me, which he will be. And they say this is just for looks, you know, appearance. But I was told by the guy I bought this from off Craigslist that this will increase my horsepower by at least 40 or 50. So don't let that fool you thinking it's just a, you know, a cosmetic thing. That's going to improve my performance tremendously. Okay. And oh, let's see. Again, the tires, of course, will be properly inflated when race day comes along. And these wheels will be polished up, so they, like the tailpipes, they will be, you know, at their best. This is something new that I put on these little strips here to kind of accent the embossed ribs along there. They call them a vent, but they're not really vents. I also added the hood spears, the red hood spears, and this metal Super Sport script on here. You know, the new kids, the young kids these days, they see all this SS stuff, SS Camaro, SSS. They don't know that really that came from the word Super Sport. That's what they started out with years ago, back in the early 60s. Chevy Impalas had a Super Sport model, and it was from that that the SS came along. Now I want to show you something. I was telling you that my 18-year-old wrecked the Mustang back in January, right? Well, I want you to see this. This is the only Camaro in the world, as far as I know, that has Ford floor mats in the front. And I'm asked all the time, Ford floor mats in a Camaro, what's that for? Well, there's a purpose to that. I'm leaving those there intentionally so that every time Emmanuel gets in this car, he'll remember that he wrecked my Mustang. When race day comes along, I think my opponent, which is my son, should be a little bit nervous. I think he will be, for a number of reasons. You know, my car has more horsepower than his. It has a few advantages if you look at all the specs. I have the italicized American flag here, which means less wind resistance, right? If the flag was straight, there'd be more wind resistance, so it's less. But also, there's a saying in the Chevy world that he needs to remember, and that is, fear the bow tie.
What do I expect? I expect to see that bow tie in my rearview mirror.
So, fear the bow tie, my son.
Let's see, what else? This is all I need to win right here.
So, in closing, I want to make sure that my Camaro is ready to go that day, and I'm going to have the best premium fuel I can find in my tank. Not a full tank, by the way, because that is added weight, so it'll be half a tank. And I hope that Jeff brings a big bowl of rice for that rice burner Japanese car of his, because he's going to need it. He's going to try to keep up with me on the track.
I do have one last secret weapon though, so I don't think he knows about this yet.
Come on over here, I want to show you something real quick on my car. You see this over here? Can you get a shot of this? Come over here. You see how that paint's come off of there? Fortunately, the plastic is black behind it. But that's how fast this car is. Last time I had it out here, it blew the paint off the front of the car so fast. And I have no idea, you might ask how fast I was going, I have no idea because the speedometer stops at 180. So, you know, just estimate what you want yourself. Weight is a big factor because he's got about 300-pound advantage over here with this Infiniti. So I did everything I could. So I went out and got a haircut this morning. I used to have black, curly, thick hair, wavy, you know, and I had it all cut off for this race. Trimmed my nails back to the quick, you know, because, hey, it's mass, right? Anything that has mass has weight. So you do everything you can. You know, I vacuumed out my trunk. I got no-show socks on, so, you know, all that extra sock, you know. So I'm ready. I'm ready and I'm pumped. Fear the bow tie. So Jeff, good luck, son.
Good luck, Dad.
May the better car win. I know the men are both good.
It will.
So Okay. All right, we'll catch you all later.
Infiniti G37X Coup in the right lane, defending Kunz. Using the 2011 Camaro SS convertible. I think the winner is that provided. This is another match hit. 2 out of 3 guys from the guys. Over the head, cut it right.
Started without this.
Also having a heavy key. Well, this say loser owes me $1,000, so.
Don't bring us a flag. Oh.
I plan on coming back after I beat you with this, you know, in my car way out to.
Well, I told you, import rule.
I guess I'm thinking
Everything says made in China or made in Mexico for a reason.
I really wasn't sure how it was going to come out, and I did have a backup plan just in case you beat me 2 out of 3. You beat me in the first 2. I was going to bring my motorcycle over here and say, all right, I was going to like line up with the car and then say, wait a minute, and then get out of the car and like have somebody else drive the car away and pull up on the motorcycle, but...
Well, now we could see how much of an effect that age difference had in that reaction time. You can drive by and I can drive yours. We can do no knowing.
I don't know if you can handle that kind of power.